Jason Kanigan, the founder of Cold Star Tech. We are the process improvement experts for the Smallsat field. And I was asked by a space colleague today what we've seen, or what I have seen as the failure points, common failure points for Smallsats and CubeSats. And this data is not readily available. You can do some digging and find a little bit of it, but companies don't like to be embarrassed. They don't like to share embarrassing things, and so they hide this stuff. But I'm going to share 6 points that you will see as common failure points for Smallsats and CubeSats that result in the horrendous 40+% failure rate that we've seen in this industry over the last 15-20 years. So first area is the payload to bus interface. This is a common problem source, and it's recommended that you buy a second set of bus components for in-house testing at a payload developer location before you get delivery of the payload. So make sure that everything is working before you plug that stuff in. The second biggest area is communication systems. Okay, you've got a radio, an antenna, and a ground segment, and they have to work together. It's a complex system, right? But what we've seen with CubeSats is that this communication system may work for a short time. This is pretty common, and then it just dies. It's like, well, what broke? I don't know. So we've also seen, although this is improving, there has been difficulty to secure a good ground station, but more and more of these are coming online. So I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue as it was. Now the next segment is the power system. So you've got solar cells, battery, power management board. Again, another complex system that really does need to work together or you've got a mission failure, right? So these things often reset themselves. They have design flaws. They overheat. And commonly they'll operate for a while and then fail. And so when you're looking into this stuff, a lot of people buy off-the-shelf components and they discover that the systems that they purchased were not up to spec, or they weren't properly spec'd for space. They were spec'd for some sort of terrestrial usage. And often we see poor user manuals. Documentation is a boring word for a lot of people, and I'm sorry for you if you feel that way. And I'm on a crusade to convert people, man. I call it the data collection system. Okay, that's the code for documentation because it's more palatable sounding. And so that's a major issue. We also see that these things are not tested enough in the configuration that you're putting them together in before launch, and so they get up there and then they fail. And we'll get into why that happens in a little bit here. Another section or area where failures come from are the deployables. You've got an ARM or solar array that comes out. The problem is these are a little challenging to test because you've got these burn wires that will start the thing off, but they're not easily resettable, and the test is time consuming to set up, and just to configure it the way you're going to fly it isn't that easy either. And so people skip this step. And you're going to hear that a lot, the skipping of the testing, and there's a reason why that happens. There's a launch pressure schedule that comes up. Sometimes there's radio frequency failures that make the antenna not bother to deploy, and that's not good either. The fifth area of component failure is third-party components. So same kind of thing that you see in the power systems failures. You know, they're not spec'd right, poor documentation or user manuals. And here's a big thing too, and we stress this in our system for helping manufacturers figure this stuff out before they run out there and try and engineer their way out of the problem. You got to have good people on your team, right? And it's not enough just to have smart people. You need to have some experienced folks too. Because an inexperienced design team member is going to pick something up and they're not going to really know about this thing, right? Is this any good? Does this work with the thing that I'm trying to attach to? I don't know, right? The only solution is to try it, right? And then it fails. So when you've got an experienced design team member who has that experience in the history of knowing which parts are trustworthy and which are not, man, that's going to have a big impact on your failure rate or your mission success rate there. The final section, and this is not as big of a deal as the others, it's the software. It's often changing right up to the last second. We find that it's most commonly tested in industry rather than in academia. Academia tends to leave it a little bit. But in either case, it's not always adequately tested due to launch pressure, just like we've seen in the other sections. we know, and you know, that testing should be a third to a half of your schedule, right? But the problem is the unexpected comes up on the front half of the schedule, and you've front loaded all that engineering stuff to get up to the CDR, and then like something explodes and you got to wait 2 weeks or a month to get the new part in, and that holds up the whole project timeline, right? And where does that time get taken out from? It comes off the back half of the schedule, and that's where all the testing is. And so that's why you see all these manufacturers, sometimes they don't know what the launch vehicle is going to be. This is getting better actually as well, that it's easier to secure a launch or ride now, you know. But anything that affects the back end of that schedule and squeezes that testing timeline shorter and shorter and shorter is a blood sacrifice, and it's probably not going to help your mission success rate, let me tell you. And we see that reflected in these reasons. So payload to bus interface, communication system, power systems, the deployables, third-party components, and software are those major issues that cause mission failures. And it doesn't have to be a full mission failure. A partial mission failure is not good, right? It's just something bad. So if you want to do better with your Smallsat, Cubesat success rates, come talk to us at Cold Start Tech. We have seen this stuff. We've got engineers, you've got engineers, that's great, but this is not a thing where you can really engineer your way out of a problem. A new engineer cannot engineer her way out of not having experience with these components. That's just a time thing, and that's why it's good to mix new and experienced team members, all right? Because you get the new perspective. Outside perspective is really good. We see this a lot. My colleague today mentioned to me that there's a lot of folks in new space who are new to space, and we're relatively new to space too, but we are not new to manufacturing, and we are not new to seeing how manufacturers screw up and the ways in which they do it. And those ways are in the what our technical engineering advisor, Dr. Rick Fleeter, who's been in the satellite industry a hell of a long time, calls the dark matter of project management. It's the stuff you don't see but is 80% of the thing, right? So come talk to us. I'm sure we can help you out of a jam. One maybe that is in that I don't know what I don't know section of knowledge. And I think we'll be able to help you. You can go to coldstartech.com and book an appointment to talk to me from just about any page on that site. Thanks for watching. And next time...